Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining on this Friday morning for this session on qualifications for analysts. So my name is Rumesh Vijayatunga. I'm sure most of you all might be knowing me. So for everyone who doesn't know me, I'll give a brief introduction about myself and my company, Aptra Holdings, right at the end. I will not spend time initially talking about those things. This particular session is actually why I thought about this session is because there were a lot of questions which people asked about business analysis qualifications, and there were questions around what are the qualifications that are available and what sort of a qualification should I look at doing, and then for whom are these qualifications applicable. So I'm trying to address most of these questions that are there regarding the business analysis qualifications. So if you all have any questions, just post them on the chat, and then I'll take those questions up right at the end. So this would be the agenda briefly. First of all, I'll be talking about a little bit about business analysis, and I'll be talking about that through the definitions that are given by two bodies related to business analysis who are providing qualifications. And then I'll introduce the certification or the governing bodies related to this profession. And then I'll talk about the qualification options that are available. And then specifics of each qualification in terms of duration, in terms of work experience that is required, or in terms of the educational background you need to have. And then I'll also talk about other qualification options that are available for analysts as well, right? And then finally, I'll talk about a little bit about Aptra and about myself. So the details about my company and how to reach out to us is given right at the bottom on each slide. So if you all are not already following, just keep track of what is there right at the bottom. Okay, so I'll start off with the definition that is given for business analysis by two main governing bodies. I'm talking about IIBA's definition of business analysis, and then PMI's, Project Management Institute's definition of business analysis. Both these definitions I have taken from the standards book, which is the BA book, Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, which is from IIBA. And then I'll also give the definition from the PMI PBA Practice Guide. I'll be going into detail about these two books as well, so don't worry. So just look at the definitions that are given first of all. Business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise or in an organizational context by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. So this is the definition that is given by IIBA. And then from PMI, we have business analysis is the set of activities that are performed to identify business needs and recommend relevant solutions, and to elicit, document, and manage requirements. So if I just talk about, give me a second, there's a question. Okay, so yeah, if others are not on mute, please do go on mute. If there's any background noise, it might not be audible for the others. So make sure that you're on mute. I'll open up the floor right at the end. You all can go on. I mean, if you all want to speak up, we can do that right at the end. Right. So if I dig deep, a little bit deeper onto these two definitions, now the questions that most of the people ask is are these business analysis certifications only applicable for IT professionals? Right. That's one of the main questions that are raised. That is raised. But if you look at the definition from IIBA, which is the standards body for the profession of business analysis. So for everyone who is an analyst, who is any type of analyst, the standards are defined by IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis. So if you look at that definition, it is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise. An analyst or a business analyst is anyone who is enabling change in an enterprise. So what do we mean by a change? a change simply means that we want to move from a current situation or a current position in our enterprise, and we want to move to a better future state, to a better state that is more conducive for the organization or even for an individual, right? um, Now this change results in certain business needs that are created for the organization. The change can be because the organization is going through some sort of a problem and they need to resolve that, or the organization sees some opportunities in the environment and they want to pursue that, right? So a business analyst is anyone who is enabling change. So if you look at this is applicable for anyone who is working as part of a change initiative, right? It can be an IT business analyst. An IT business analyst is a person who would initiate a change, or who would be working in an environment which enables change through technology, right? Through a technological product or a solution. If you take a process consultant, maybe an ERP consultant, maybe a SAP consultant, or maybe a person who's working at a manufacturing organization as a process consultant, maybe at Mars Holdings, Brandix, or any other manufacturing place. There are consultants who are working there. The process consultants may be people who are qualified in Six Sigma or Lean areas like that. Still, they are performing some analysis work because they are enabling change in that particular organization related to business processes. If you look at a person from a marketing department, a person who works on selling products, or a person who comes up with product specifications, does the market segmentation, identifies the product marketing strategy, pricing strategy, and then comes up with strategies to go to market. Again, that person is performing some sort of analysis. The product or the solution that the organization has built is in a particular state, and they want to sell it to the customer so that the organization can increase their profits. So the marketing analyst, again, the marketing executive again is an analyst who is enabling some sort of change again in the enterprise. Similar with the finance professionals, similar with the risk analysts, people who identify risks related to anything. It can be technology related risks, market related risks, finance related risks, can be anything. So there's a problem that the organization is facing in terms of these risks, and the risk analyst would analyze those, dig deeper, and then identify potential risk analysis and management strategies, risk management strategies to mitigate or to tackle those risks. So even a risk analyst is performing some sort of change initiative or change management related tasks. And even if you take a person like an entrepreneur, even a C-level person, right? Even a person who's heading a business unit or a department, that person is also an analyst at a higher level. So they are working more on strategic level initiatives. So they would worry about analyzing the profitability of the organization, the profitability of the product categories, or even the profitability of the market share, the growth of the company. An HR analyst or a HR head of the HR division would be more concerned about the people aspects of it. They would analyze the skill set and the competencies of people. They would analyze the compensation that is given to the people, right? So everyone if you take anyone who's working in an organization, or even in our day-to-day lives, we are analysts. We perform some sort of analysis work to enable some sort of change in an enterprise. What we do is we identify needs. The need can come from within ourselves, or it can be an enterprise level need, a need that a company has, a need that a particular customer group, a group of customers has, which is again a problem or an opportunity that needs to be pursued. And an analyst is a person who would collect information about these needs, the need to change, and then comes up with solution options and defines that solution in order to deliver value to stakeholders. Now again, if you look at it, a business analyst is a person who defines solutions. That's what an IT business analyst does on a day-to-day basis. When I say IT business analyst, I'm not only talking about the technical BAs that we have. I'm also talking about software engineers, the QA engineers, even the UI UX engineers. Still, they are analysts simply because they are studying a certain set of requirements that the stakeholders have for a software solution, and then trying to see the best way of putting that out, or putting those features out to the end users for them to use it. So giving a solution, it's applicable for any organization at any level which is undergoing any sort of problem. If the company is undergoing people related problems, there needs to be solutions given. If the company is undergoing finance related problems, solutions need to be given. If the company has cash flow related problems or supply chain related problems, again there would be supply chain analysts and operational analysts. They need to think about giving solutions. So anyone who is working on changing the current state to a better future state will become an analyst, right? The final objective is to give value to whoever stakeholders that are involved. For the amount of money that they are paying, they need to be getting some sort of benefit. This benefit can be monetary as well as non-monetary benefit. So the stakeholders are expecting some sort of value. So that's the definition that is given from IIBA, a person working on any change initiative. Just look at the definition that is given from PMI as well. Business analysis is the set of activities that are performed to identify business needs and recommend relevant solutions. The keywords are repeating. If you see a person who is identifying business needs, it specifically talks about business needs, right? Whereas IIBA doesn't specifically say that they are talking about business needs only, needs in general, right? Needs applicable for anyone. That's what IIBA is saying. Whereas PMI is talking about business needs specifically, and then people who recommend solutions in order to solve those needs. Whenever we see this word needs, we are actually talking about problems and opportunities to be solved. I'll talk about the two perspectives, but you all will see both these definitions focus on a couple of main things. Addressing problems, looking at what is there in the market, looking at what we can do better, and then coming up with solutions to better meet that. So a person who is doing business analysis would need to collect information about the situation, analyze the information, maybe decompose the information into smaller levels, combine the information, sort them out, group them, prioritize the information, document the information, and then manage it and present it to whoever stakeholders who need to get this information. So the people who need to get the information, or our stakeholders, can be our internal implementation team members, for example, our software development team, or it can even be external stakeholders like our business users or our business stakeholders who need to get information from us, right? So both the definitions are similar. So with that in mind, let me quickly go through the governing bodies that are there, and the certifications that they offer. I'll go through each of these bodies one by one. First body, International Institute of Business Analysis, or we call it IIBA. Now, why I have put this right in front, or as the first institute that I want to talk about, is because IIBA is the standards organization, or it's the governing body for the profession of business analysis. I'm sure you all have heard about PMI, so we'll be looking at PMI as well. Project Management Institute. So that's the governing body for the profession of project management, right? They are like that. IIBA is the organization which is the governing body for business analysts. So they are the ones. IIBA, first of all, was formed in 2003. It is headquartered in Toronto, Canada. And then, so this is a not-for-profit organization, and their main vision is to define the standards for the profession of business analysis, and then develop and maintain the best practices that business analysts, anyone who is performing any sort of analysis role, should follow. So IIBA is the organization that is defining the best practices and the standards for the profession of business analysis, right? And they do this through a book called the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, or we call it the BA-BOK Guide. So this is a 500+ page book, orange color book. I'll show that book also. So the current version of the BA-BOK guide is version 3. The BA-BOK guide, I'll go into a little bit more detail in one of the upcoming slides. So the vision and mission of IIBA is to make sure that everyone understands the profession of business analysis. Everyone knows what needs to be done as a business analyst, and identify the best practices in terms of performing business analysis work at different stages for different change initiatives, and then also recognize the profession of business analysis by providing training and certifications. Plus, in terms of membership opportunities for networking, and then knowledge sharing options. So that's a little bit about IIBA. I'll quickly move on to talking about the certifications from IIBA. So IIBA offers core certifications plus specialized certifications. The core certifications that are offered by IIBA are these 4: ECBA or entry-level certificate in business analysis, certificate of capability in business analysis, then we have certified business analysis professional, and then certified business analysis thought leader, CBATL. Examinations are applicable for the first 3 certifications that you see. Examinations are only for ECBA, CCBA, and CBAP. CBATL or Certified Business Analysis Thought Leader is for professionals who have more than 10 years of experience in the industry and who have contributed something for the profession, and they are recognized as leaders in this profession called business analysis. So this is similar to fellow memberships that we see. Fellow in CIMA or fellow in CIM. So it's similar to something like that. So why these are called core certifications is because these 3 certifications are based on the business analysis body of knowledge. The content defined in the business analysis body of knowledge is the source, or it is the starting point for these 3 main certifications. Now, ECBA, entry-level certificate in business analysis, is for people who have no analysis experience, or people who have less than 3 years of experience. I'll say why I say 3 years of experience also. Now, for anyone who is maybe in a university, who is thinking about a career in business analysis, or a person who has just started working as an analyst, as any type of an analyst, can think about doing this ECBA certification. I'll go into detail about the certification, what are the prerequisites, eligibility requirements, and then I'll also talk about the examination structure a little bit as well. So ECBA is the entry-level certification for people who are new to the profession, or people who want to learn the core concepts, who want to learn the key concepts of business analysis as per the BA-BOK guide. CCBA, or Certificate of Capability in Business Analysis. Now, this is for analysts who have 3 to 6 years of experience, or in other words, professionals who have 3,750 plus hours of experience. So that's the recommendation that is given by IIBA. People who have 3,750 plus hours of experience in the past 7 years. I'll talk about how to calculate this also. That's one of the questions people have. When you are calculating your amount of hours of experience, you need to take 6 hours of effective work per day. Don't take more than that. People know that you don't effectively work for more than 6 hours per day. And then 20 to 22 days per month. That's another parameter that you can take in for your calculation. And then don't put overlapping hours. For example, if you are an IT business analyst and is working on 2 projects in parallel, don't say that I'm working for 10, 12 hours per day. Yes, you can go up to a maximum of about 7 to 8 hours per day if you're working on 2 parallel projects. But if you're putting overlapping hours for your calculation, make sure that you even it out, right? So this is for professionals who have some sort of experience in the industry working as analysts. Examination now I'll briefly touch upon exam as well. ECBA is directly from the content, directly from the theory. So there will be questions on definitions of elicitation, maybe definitions of analysis, and then parameters that needs to be considered when prioritizing requirements, different techniques. So I'll go into detail of what is covered in the BA Bug guide. The entry-level certificate is simple, and it's directly from the study guide. CCBA is more scenario-based, and you need some sort of experience to be able to answer the questions. Experience plus knowledge about the concepts. So clear knowledge about the concepts is required, again, to answer CCBA type of questions. CBEP is for professionals who have more than 7,500 hours of experience. That's roughly about 6+ years of experience. And this experience should have been gathered within the last 10 years, right? Now, again, CBEP exam is tough. I'll go into detail about this exam a little bit more in one of the upcoming slides. CBTL, like I said, it's for there's no exam involved. It's for thought leaders who have worked in the industry and have contributed something for the profession. In addition to the core certifications, IIBA also offers specialized certifications. There are 3 main specializations that are there. CBDA, or Certification in Business Data Analytics, Agile Analysis Certification, or AAC, and then CCA. This is the newest certification that has been introduced by IIBA, Certificate in Cybersecurity Analysis. Now, if there's anyone who is working as a data analyst or is interested in this profession of data analysis and interested from a non-technical perspective, interested in data analysis from a business perspective, understanding the organization, understanding the data elements that are going into a process, for example, and then the data transformation that needs to happen, the cleansing and then manipulation, cleaning and everything of data that needs to happen, and finally analyzing the data and presenting the data in a logical format which can be understood by people, and then making predictions and prescriptions based on data. So all these aspects from a business perspective, if you're looking at a professional certification, CBDA is the certification for that. Agile Analysis Certification is for business analysts who are working in an agile environment. Now, if you take today's world, almost all the environments are agile, not just IT environments. Other organizations are also looking at how to become more flexible, nimble, and be able to respond to change. So anyone who is analyzing, doing analysis work in an agile environment can think about doing this particular certification called AAC, Agile Analysis Certification. And then cybersecurity analysis, it's a combination. I mean, IIBA is partnering with IEEE, Computer Society, to provide this cybersecurity related certification for analysts. So this is again related to information security, and then the business impact of it, making sure that people understand the business impact of information security, data privacy, and so on. And then the analysis that needs to go into these sort of situations, that's covered in CCA. These 3 certifications, specialized certifications, are not based on the BA Bug guide. Reading the BA Bug guide is important again. The recommendation is that yes, you need to read the BA Bug guide. In addition to that, if you take AAC, Agile Analysis Certification, this particular certification has a book that has been defined by IIBA. This is called the Agile Extension to the BA Bug guide. So Agile extension to the BA Bug guide, that's actually the book based on which AAC exam has been defined. And then for CBDA and CCA, there are no books or there are no guides defined by IIBA as yet, which will tell, okay, you just need to go through this book and you can then attempt the exam. There's nothing as such. So CBDA and CCA, there are recommended text that is available on the IIBA website. So anyone who is interested in those certifications can go through those material and then think about taking the exam. Some additional things. So you can get more details about IIBA by logging on to www.iiba.org. iiba.org. Even without being a member, you will have access to certain materials. So this is like CIM, CIMA, PMI, and so on. You can get the membership from IIBA, right? So if you get the membership, you get access to additional materials. So those sort of things are applicable here as well. Eligibility criteria, again, so we already saw the amount of experience that is required. What is important is the professional development. I'll talk about this and then I'll come back to knowledge area related expertise. For the core certifications, you need to undergo training. That is mandatory. And the training needs to be obtained from an endorsed education provider, an EEP, endorsed education provider of IIBA. So these are companies or institutes which have gone through the recommendation process, and they have gone through the evaluation process from IIBA, and they have been granted the endorsed education provider status. So education provider means they can do training targeting these three main certifications. So for ECBA, you need to obtain 21 hours of direct contact training from a trainer, recognized trainer. And the hours that you obtain, 21 hours that you obtain by those trainings is applicable for 4 years. In fact, for all three certifications, the amount of hours is applicable for 4 years. So for example, if you go through the training now with an EEP, and if you complete it by end of July, the amount of hours is applicable for until 2023, right, or 2024, until that time period where the 4 years have passed. CCBA requires 21 hours of contact hours again, and then for CBAP, 35 hours of direct contact training is required. And then in terms of knowledge area expertise, so the BA guide talks about 6 main knowledge areas. I'll show you all those knowledge areas later on. For ECBA, there's no experience required, so you don't need any experience to be able to attempt the ECBA exam. You don't need to document basically the experience that you have. Whereas for CCBA, you need to be able to document 900 hours of experience for 2 out of the 6 knowledge areas defined in the BA guide, and at least 500 plus hours for the remaining 4 knowledge areas. So if you see here itself, you get 500 into 4, that's 2000 hours, and then 900 into 2, you get 1800 hours. That's how you get a minimum of 3750 hours for CCBA. Here itself, you get 3800 hours of experience. This is not enough actually. So for example, I have done CBAP, Certified Business Analysis Professional. For that particular certification, when I was applying, I actually entered more than 10,000 hours of experience. Right. So for CCBA, the recommendation is at least record 4,200 to 4,500 hours of experience. And then for CBAP, you need minimum of 900 hours for the 4 out of the 6 knowledge areas. So that's the minimum requirement for applying for CBAP in terms of experience. And then education, like I said, a person even in university can attempt ECBA. So there's no such entry requirement in terms of education for ECBA. But for CCBA and CBAP, a degree is a must, or is recommended, right? And then references. When you are submitting your application form, so when applying for exams, you need to log on to iiba.org website again, and then go through the application process. Once you have gone through the training, the EEP will send a list to IIBA saying that these people have gone through the training, and then you can log on to the IIBA website and start the application process. For ECBA, no references are required. So these are people who can endorse your experience or the amount of hours that you have obtained through training. For CCB and CBAP, you need references. And then this signing the code of conduct is actually just ticking a box saying that, okay, I have read the terms and conditions that are applicable. I'll talk a little bit about the BA-BOK guide as well. So this is the 500+ page orange color book that I mentioned. If a person becomes a member of IIBA, they get access to this book. If a person becomes a member of IIBA, they get access to this book. So even if you are not trying for an exam, you can still obtain the book by becoming a member, right? Current version is version 3. Now the BA-BOK, this is a guide. A guide means it's not a standard. It's not saying this is the only way of doing something. The guide only recommends the best practices, recommends the tasks, and recommends the techniques and tools that a business analyst should be able to use in their day-to-day work. So there are 6 main knowledge areas listed in the BA-BOK guide, 50 techniques, 50 business analysis techniques, different techniques are discussed. I'll show you all those techniques as well. And then 5 perspectives, 5 angles from which you can look at business analysis, and then 29 underlying competencies, 29 competencies that business analysts should have under 6 main categories, again, are defined in the BA-BOK guide. Okay, so these are the knowledge areas. First of all, what you see over here on your left-hand corner are those 6 knowledge areas. Business analysis, planning, and monitoring. This particular knowledge area talks about how a business analyst should plan his or her analysis work. What sort of planning work does an analyst need to do? How does a business analyst plan based on the approach that is followed for the change initiative? If it is a plan-driven approach, what sort of activities should the business analyst do? If it is a change-driven agile environment, what sort of activities should a business analyst do? Right. So identifying the analysis activities, identifying the techniques that need to be used, doing an effort estimation, and then understanding the stakeholders, techniques of identifying stakeholders and analyzing stakeholders, and then processes or tasks related to governing information management. How the business analyst is going to capture the information, store the information, maintain information like traceability, priority of the information, and so on. And then how performance of business analysis work would be assessed is covered in BA planning and monitoring. So I just gave a high level idea about this particular knowledge area. Then requirements lifecycle management talks about managing the life cycle of business analysis information end to end, managing the priority of information, managing the traceability of information from the business requirements, from business level requirements right down to solution and transition level requirements. How to manage change requests, how to manage approval of business analysis information. So those sort of areas are covered in requirements lifecycle management. Basically, once a need is identified, from the point where a need or a problem or an opportunity is identified, right until the time a solution is deployed, the information that the business analyst creates need to be managed. And that management of information during the entire change initiative and beyond that is covered in requirements lifecycle management. Elicitation and collaboration, one of the main skills that an analyst should have. Elicitation simply means collecting information from different sources, maybe from people, maybe from documents, maybe from a system, by doing workshops, by creating prototypes. So different techniques and different tasks in terms of planning, conducting elicitation work, and then confirming elicitation results, and then managing stakeholder collaboration is covered under elicitation and collaboration. Requirements analysis and design definition is actually the largest area in the BA-BOK guide. This talks a variety of techniques and a variety of processes in terms of specifying information, modeling information, and then verifying the requirements, validating the requirements, coming up with design options, and then evaluating and communicating the design options to the relevant stakeholders. So requirements analysis and design definition, that particular knowledge area actually covers a lot of techniques related to IT plus non-IT as well. So process diagramming, process analysis, use case diagrams, use case descriptions, and then ER diagrams, sequence diagrams, data flow diagrams, user stories. A lot of techniques are covered in this particular knowledge area. And then strategy analysis is now, when you all see this word, you all might think this is talking about strategic level initiatives, only talking about C-level or senior management level initiatives. No, the strategy analysis knowledge area talks about and how to analyze a current situation and how to analyze a future situation, identifying the gaps and analyzing how to move from the current to the future state, coming up with a change strategy. So that is covered under strategy analysis. Again, a lot of techniques in terms of financial analysis. Now, that's how this becomes applicable for any type of analyst. Techniques like NPV, IRR, and then payback period, financial analysis techniques, business modeling techniques, like business modeling canvas, value stream analysis, all those things are covered under strategy analysis. Then finally, solution evaluation. This is about evaluating the performance of a solution once it is deployed or in an ongoing basis. So for example, once an analyst does a process change in an organization, once the organizational structure, culture, and process related changes are done, the business analyst needs to make sure that the performance of that particular new process is as required to achieve the goals that were defined. So that is covered under solution evaluation. Like I said, there are 50 plus techniques. These are the techniques that would be covered under these 6 knowledge areas. And then the competency categories are also listed here. I will not go into detail of these things. Techniques like leadership skills, negotiation skills, facilitation skills, and then the knowledge in terms of industry, business knowledge, solution related knowledge that is required by an analyst. All those things are covered under, and stuff like written, verbal, non-verbal communication, listening skills, empathy, those type of skills are covered under competencies. I'll move on to Project Management Institute, which is another body related to business analysis now. Why? Now, if I talk about PMI, first of all, found in 1969, again, a not-for-profit organization for the profession of project management. Goals again are similar. Define the standards mainly for the profession of project management, and then provide memberships, provide certification options, define the global standards for project management, and then manage chapters and communities, provide training, research options, and so on. Vision is to promote the growth and professionalism in project management, like I said. And then the reach also is given. If you all want more information about Project Management Institute, go to pmi.org and you will find information. Now, the question is this: why has PMI thought about this particular certification? So PMI offers a certification called PMI PBA, or this is called PMI Professional in Business Analysis. PMI Professional in Business Analysis. Business analysis is repeated. Just don't worry about this, right? PMI Professional in Business Analysis. Why PMI has identified the importance of business analysis is because of this. So PMI focuses on business analysis from a project management perspective. PMI focuses on importance of business analysis in project environments, right? So for anyone who is part of a project, maybe an IT business analyst, or maybe a process consultant who works in projects, maybe a marketing analyst who works as part of a project, can think about doing PMI PBA, because PMI PBA looks at the entire environment that's formed in that ecosystem related to a project, running a project, and then what sort of a role should the business analyst play in enabling that change initiative through the project. Plus, what sort of collaboration should the business analyst have with the project manager and the rest of the team members in getting that done. So that's the main difference. IIBA is much broader. IIBA considers business analysis from a much broader perspective, whereas Project Management Institute focuses on the business analyst role on projects, right? Again, experience is required. You need 3,500 hours of experience. Again, that's about 3 years of experience to attempt the PMI PBA certification. Qualifications, entry criteria again is similar. There are no multiple levels, so there's no entry certificate for business analysis from PMI. So since there is experience required, entry qualifications are also required. So a person with just the diploma can go down this path. If a person has just the diploma, they need 7,500 hours of experience. Not 3 years of experience, but 5 years of experience is required if no degree. And then 2,000 hours of working on projects. And then this experience, this 2,000 hours can include the 7,500 hours can include these 2,000 hours of project experience. And then this experience should be obtained within the last 8 years. And then 35 contact hours from a trainer is required. Now, PMI also has this thing called recognized education providers, or we call them REPs in project management. That is not mandatory. A person need not be an REP to provide training. So that is one advantage that is there. So the hours must be earned in business analysis related knowledge areas. I'll talk about the business analysis knowledge areas defined in the PMI guide. If you have a degree, you need just 4,500 hours of experience obtained within the last 8 years. 2,000 hours of working experience in projects is required again, and it can be included within this 4,500 hours. And then 35 contact hours also is required. Now, the PMI PBA exam also is based on study guides, right? There are two main study guides. The main study guide is actually this, the PMI Guide to Business Analysis, the red color book, which was defined in 2017. But there was another book that came out in 2015 called the Business Analysis for Practitioners, a practice guide. So the theory actually is covered over here on the guide. The theory is covered in the guide. So for example, if a technique is introduced, the theory behind the technique with the format, with a sample template, everything is defined in the guide. An example is given in the practice guide. How you can practice all these techniques, how you can practice these tasks are in more detail in the practice guide. So the PMI PBA exam was introduced to the world somewhere around 2014. Right, and the initial versions of the exam, people who did the exam, they studied this. For example, I have done PMI PBA. I studied this book, but now people are going through this book mainly, the one released in 2017. Plus, they read the other book as well. So I'll talk about the knowledge areas and then the competencies also from PMI PBA. Now, most of the knowledge areas, most of the competencies, and most of the techniques are also similar to what is defined in the IIBA guide, the BABOK guide. The knowledge areas, there are again 6 main knowledge areas. Needs assessment, this knowledge area is actually similar to the strategy analysis knowledge area in IIBA. So identifying a problem or an opportunity, defining the current state, defining the future state, and then identifying gaps, coming up with a business case, doing the feasibility study, until creating a project charter is covered in needs assessment. Stakeholder engagement, this is all to do with planning for stakeholder engagement, and then identifying stakeholders, analyzing stakeholders, coming up with a stakeholder register, coming up with stakeholder management strategies, and so on. So that's covered in stakeholder engagement. Elicitation, it's similar to the elicitation and collaboration knowledge area that we saw. Similar type of tasks are there in terms of preparing for elicitation activities, and then conducting and confirming elicitation results. Analysis again is similar to requirements analysis and design definition knowledge area that we saw. So specifying and modeling requirements, and then verifying requirements, validating requirements, defining acceptance criteria for requirements, defining evaluation criteria, and then finally designing the solution is covered under analysis. Traceability and monitoring, there's a separate knowledge area in the PMI guide simply because traceability is an important aspect. Tracing requirements from business right down to the solution level is an important aspect in projects, right? Identifying traceability elements and then implementing the traceability management strategy, identifying the approach and then implementing the traceability monitoring strategy, coming up with the traceability metrics and tracing the requirements horizontally and vertically end to end, tracing the changes that are going on. Everything is covered under traceability and monitoring. And then solution evaluation is similar. Evaluating the solution deployed and the solution that is being deployed on an ongoing basis. So that's covered under solution evaluation. And in terms of competencies also, it's more or less similar. Analytical skills, expert judgment, communication skills, personal characteristics like behaviors and attitudes, things like that are covered. And then leadership skills, leadership skills that a business analyst should have in terms of conflict resolution, negotiation are covered under these competency areas. More than 50 analysis techniques again are listed in the PMI guide. I can confirm or I can tell you all that there are more techniques actually than what is covered under the BABOK guide. So interesting techniques like capability tables, capability matrices, and then coming up with story maps. Those sort of things are actually, and then in terms of strategy analysis, techniques like ecosystem maps, feature models, different additional techniques are actually covered in PMI PBA. So there's actually something additional to learn for a person who goes down this particular path. And then about the exams, the summary about the exams. ECBA, like I said, is pretty simple. It's a 1 hour MCQ based exam, 50 MCQ questions to be done in 1 hour. Knowledge based questions directly from theory, and then the pass mark varies. One thing, all these exams now can be done in Sri Lanka. There was a time when I did the exam, I had to travel outside of Sri Lanka to do the exams. It's not the case anymore. You can do the exam in Sri Lanka. There are test centers. Plus, even you can do the exams from home now. I'm not sure about PMI PBA. I'm sure they have enabled it now. But IABA certifications, you can even do it at home as a proctored, monitored exam. You need to keep your webcam on, and screen. You can't be navigating to other screens and so on. There'll be another person who is monitoring what you are doing while you're doing the exam. So you can do the exam even at home now. CCBA is a 3-hour long exam, 130 MCQ questions, scenario based. So you now the ECBA questions might be just 1 or 2 lines, but CCBA type of questions are scenario based. There can be a paragraph given of about 6 or 7 lines maybe, where they explain a scenario and expect you to answer a question. Not all questions are scenario based. There can be simple questions like in ECBA also. CBAP can get any type of questions, but most of the questions are up to 1 to 1.5 pages long. Right, so you need to read a really big paragraph, and there can be multiple questions given based on that. 3.5 hours long exam, 120 MCQ questions. Pass mark varies, but it's actually somewhere around again 60 to 65%. PMI PBA is a 4-hour long exam, 200 MCQs, right? Not lengthy as CBAP exams, CBAP questions, but more similar to CCBA type of scenario based questions. Out of these 200 questions, 25 are pre-released. That means these are not marked. These do not count for your final score. But there are 175 live questions based on which you will be marked. Pass mark is also somewhere around 61 to 65%. Okay, so those are the 2 main bodies. I'll talk about BCS as well, British Computer Society. Now, British Computer Society also offers some business analysis credentials. Found in 1957. And then the business model, it's a charity with a royal charter. Again, similar, memberships are offered, certification options, not just business analysis certification. I'm sure you all know about this. BCS, British Computer Society, offers a variety of credentials for IT professionals. It can be agile, it can be scaling agile, business process management, business analysis, and then programming related certifications, quality assurance related certifications. There'll be multiple certification options. And then mission is to ensure everyone's experience with technology is positive. And then the reach, I have also given that. Now BCS also offers business analysis certifications. There are 5 main levels, right? There are 5 main levels: foundation, practitioner, professional, consultant, and expert. So if you are joining from Sri Lanka, at the moment in Sri Lanka, foundation level exams only are available for BCS BA. The BCS BA exam is based on, the foundation level is based on this book, Business Analysis, written by these people. The current version is version 3. The BCS exams are based on SFIA levels. Sophia, we call them Sophia levels, level 3, 4, up to 7, right? Now the BCS BA certifications, again, they are focused on change, organizational change, or business change. But the content that is covered in IIB and PMI has actually been divided into these 5 levels. That is what has happened, right? And then most of the things that are covered actually in foundation and practitioner level are more business oriented, are more business change oriented rather than technology change oriented. They are more business change oriented. So identifying business requirements, identifying business change needs, identifying operational operations of an organization, identifying commercial awareness, organizational behavior, and then modeling a business process, data management, the need for requirements engineering. All those things are covered in the initial stages. Then a little bit about modeling requirements, and then analysis, agile analysis, specifying needs, and then performing financial analysis, leadership, stakeholder engagement. All those things are covered somewhere down the line in terms of professional level credential. So basically, the content has been broken down, and then more business sense is provided for the foundation level, initial level qualifications. There are other bodies which offer business analysis certifications also, direct business analysis certifications. So IREB, International Requirements Elicitation Board, and then IQBBA, I can't remember the exact word. A lot of people who are from UK actually know about these certifications. So IREB, for example, offers certified professional in requirements engineering. Again, has 3 levels. And then IQBBA offers these 3: foundation level business analyst, advanced level business analyst, and expert level business analyst. I don't have much information about this, simply because in Sri Lanka, these are not very popular. And then other qualifications for analysts. Now we are talking about a person who can perform any type of analysis role in any environment. It can be a product analyst, it can be a process analyst, risk analyst, financial analyst, market analyst, can be anyone, right? So obviously, certifications like SIM for marketers, people who want a qualification related to market analysis, SIM, and then CIMA for person who wants to analyze the business end to end, and then focus more on financial and risks related analysis, can do this sort of a credential. And then IT product management related qualifications, CSPO, and then advanced. So CSPO stands for Certified Scrum Product Owner. So this is more to do with agile analysis, and it's these are certifications offered by Scrum Alliance for people who are in product development type of environments, specifically from an IT perspective. But agility again is applicable for anyone, not just IT. business agility. In today's world, we are talking about business agility. How can a business become more agile? So a person who is interested in providing solutions in an agile environment can think about CSPO, Certified Scrum Product Owner, and so on. There will be specific areas that are covered. I mean, when you all go through an IIB or PMI certification, most of these techniques are covered, but it has an agile flavor. CSPO has an agile flavor, so that's why a lot of people go for this particular certification. And then PSPO, this is from Scrum.org. Again, Scrum Alliance, the sister organization of Scrum Alliance is Scrum.org. These two companies are related to Agile, started by the two co-founders of the Agile, I mean Scrum. The other partner, Ken Squaber, is the person who started Scrum.org, and Scrum.org offers PSPO, Professional Scrum Product Owner, as a qualification. Then if there's a person who's into manufacturing, and then in terms of process improvement, you can think about Six Sigma certifications. I'm sure you all have heard about black belt, green belt, yellow belt in Six Sigma. Again, a type of credential that you can look at if you're from that sort of a background, or if you're interested is in process improvement. And then if there's a person who's into risk analysis, risk management professional, again from PMI, another qualification that is available. Likewise, there are lots. I mean, if you are a person who is interested in design thinking, there are credentials offered by certain not governing bodies, but organizations like IBM, and then AJ Smart, D School are offering different design thinking related qualifications. So there are different qualifications that an analyst can look at. So that's what I wanted to cover in terms of qualifications that are available for analysts. I'll quickly give an introduction about my company as well, Aptra Holdings. So Aptra Holdings Private Limited, I formed this company last year in March 2019. We are a registered entity in Sri Lanka, and then an authorized training provider. And then we provide training, consulting, and coaching for individuals as well as organizations. And Aptra Holdings is an endorsed education provider of IIBA. So we have gone through that process of evaluation, getting our company evaluated as well as our courses evaluated, course materials for IIBA certifications evaluated from IIBA. So we are an endorsed education provider of IIBA. And then these are the things that we do. So training, consulting, and coaching. These are the three main pillars that we have. In terms of training, we do training targeting professional certifications, not just IIBA. So we do training for targeting IIBA certifications as well as PMI certifications, not just PMI PBA, PMP, and CAPM as well. And then Agile certifications also. So we do training related to certifications offered from Scrum.org, PSM, Professional Scrum Master, and Professional Scrum Product Owner. And then we also do trainings on scaled Agile, scaling Agile to large organizations, mainly SAFe, the Scaled Agile Framework. So I'll talk about this a little bit more, how we are doing this. And then we are also planning to do training related to Management 3.0 and then solution design. So those are the type of professional certifications related training that we do. Plus we do customized public training from time to time. It can be on different topics. So maybe a topic on requirements elicitation, a topic on requirements engineering, or a topic on Agile. Maybe a 4-hour session on Kanban, for example, or a 2-day session on Scrum. Different techniques or different areas of interest are identified, and then sessions are done with a practical sense. Most of these sessions are classroom activity based, So people get experiential learning, not just the theory. So our training mainly focuses on getting the concepts understood by the people properly, and then also not just learning the concepts, but to allow the people to practice and apply the concepts that they learn as well. Plus, we do corporate training as well. So we have done more than 50 trainings for two or three organizations in Sri Lanka. I won't mention the names. We have done trainings related to business analysis and agile, Scrum and Kanban for organizations which are undergoing some sort of transformation. Training methods, we do classroom training. At the moment, it's not happening. Most of all the trainings that we do are online, virtual at the moment. So we use Zoom and then other collaboration tools that are available to get the classroom environment online. So that's something that we do. Plus, our e-learning platform is also coming up. One of the major objectives that we have is to not just do classroom trainings, but make the training materials available through videos, and then the presentations also available through a platform. So that's something that we are working on at the moment. In terms of consultancy services, we provide services related to, again, business analysis, agile, and then scaling agile. So setting up a BA center of excellence, setting up the BA process, BA governance framework, and then providing consultancy services in terms of doing business analysis as a service, and then process related aspects of business analysis, different services related to consulting, as well as agility as well. So some of the services are listed here. And then coaching is again another important aspect of what we do. So if there's anyone who wants one-on-one coaching, or if there are teams that require coaching, maybe on agility, maybe on business analysis, we can create a coaching alliance. We create coaching alliances and then do this as a service as well. And then a little bit about me. So I'm the director, founder of Aptra Holdings. And then I'm also the enterprise agile coach at Wiley at the moment, right? And then I have 15 plus years of experience. I'm qualified as a business analyst, CBAP certified, and then PMI PBA certified. I'm also qualified as a project manager, Scrum up to CSP, certified Scrum professional. And then I'm also a SAFe program consultant. SAFe program consultant, this actually allows me to do scaled agile related training now. So SAFe program consultant is like a high level credential that someone can offer, and based on that, a person who has that credential can do 9 or 10 scaling agile related credentials, certifications. So qualifications like SAFe Agilist, scaled agile framework, SAFe leading SAFe, and then SAFe Scrum Master, SAFe Product Owner, SAFe Advanced Scrum Master, SAFe Release Train Engineer. So multiple trainings can be done. I have over 15 years of experience in the industry. So I started as a software engineer, then worked as a business analyst, and then finally, so I was a project manager, agile project manager, delivery manager, product owner at some times, and then finally was the CIO of an IT company. So 10 plus years of experience as a BA, delivery manager, and then 3 plus years in C-level experience. And then I've also done lecturing and training for multiple years now. I was the former president of the IIB Sri Lanka chapter, and then I'm a lecturer and trainer for I've done training for all 3 BA related certifications. IIBA I'm currently doing, PMI PBA also I'm currently doing, and then BCS I did trainings with an educational institute in Sri Lanka. And then so that's a little bit about me. If you all have any questions, you can reach out to me. My contact details are also given over here. So that's the end of the presentation. We can actually move on to any questions that you all have. if you all want to ask the question, you can go, I mean, you can unmute and then ask the questions. I'll also look at the chat as well. So there's a question, how to prove the professional development hours. Okay, so good question. When you send your application form, IIBA or PMI goes through a validation process. So they will check whether you are actually eligible to do those exams. Now, like I said, you need to do your calculation. You need to do your calculation. Now, if you take IIBA as well as PMI, there's an IT flavor to it that needs to be understood, because the world is moving in a direction where technology is practically required for everything, right? Even if you are working as a financial consultant, even if you are working as a SAP consultant, even if you're working as a process consultant, you need to know some sort of technology. So technology, everything in the world now is technology driven, right? So having if you take the BA-BOK guide as well as the PMI guide, there's a certain IT flavor to it. A lot of techniques can be related to IT analysis, right? But there are general techniques like, I mean, if you take the elicitation techniques, all those are general. Prototyping, any analyst should be able to do. Doing an interview, anyone should be able to do. Conducting a workshop, anyone should be able to do. Doing observation sessions, anyone should be able to do. Then there are specific techniques for financial analysts. Specific techniques on estimation are covered. 3-point estimation, average point estimation, story point estimation. Different techniques are covered. So, you need to calculate and see the amount of experience that you have using the idea that I gave in terms of calculating the hours of experience, and then apply. Go for the certification that is relevant for you. Now, I actually tell people who go for IIBA certifications, they ask me, okay, Rumesh, which certification should I do? I sometimes tell the people who have 6+ years of experience, if you are not comfortable, if you are not confident in answering scenario based tough questions from CBAP, do ECBA first. Get the concepts right first, then attempt CBAP. So I give that sort of advice also. It all depends on your level of experience and the amount of confidence that you have. So once you submit your application form, IIB and PMI both will evaluate your validity to take the exam, right? And it will go through auditing process if required. If IIB or PMI feels that this person, we need to check whether this person actually has the experience, then they will audit. When I say audit, what will happen is they will contact the references and the project contacts that you put in your application form. They will send an email and ask the people in your application form to verify whether these people actually have the experience. So be mindful of that. That thing is there. How to prove the professional development hours? It's actually by attending classroom sessions. You need to attend the classroom sessions, then only you can get the contact hours. You need to attend, I mean, it from an endorsed education provider or a recognized trainer, and then those hours can be reported. From exam pass rates, which exam has the highest success rate? That I can't tell. Until you finish the exam, you don't know whether you have passed or failed in all 3 exams, right? Until you hit the submit button. It's the case with, I mean, all the exams, right? You don't know whether you have passed or failed until you have hit submit button. So the next question is, in agile environment, sometimes BA plays multiple roles like business analyst, product owner, and scrum master. In such type of work environment, what do you highly recommend to do? I mean, course knowledge, contents, and industry demand. Shafrin, if you're asking about which certification should someone do, so like I said, a certification from IIBA will provide you end-to-end knowledge about analysis, right? The standards or the best practices in analysis. PMI PBA will provide you knowledge from a project management perspective. Something that I wanted to highlight, another thing now, a person who does CBAP exam or a person who does PMI PBA, they are expected actually to be able to lead a business analysis practice in an organization. They must be able to be managers or leaders. They must be able to define business analysis processes in an organization. They should be the ones who are saying, okay, this is the format to be followed, this is the template to be followed, these are the steps to be followed as part of a process. They should be the people who are defining performance evaluation criteria, right? So basically it's not just doing day-to-day BA work. That's not what is expected from a person who's doing a high-level BA certification. A person needs to be a leader if you're doing a high-level credential. But for a person who is doing ECBA and CCBA, they are expected to perform day-to-day analysis work in terms of eliciting, analyzing, giving solutions, and so on. So if Shafrin, again, to continue the answer for your question, so IABA has a different purpose. PMI PBA gives you some additional knowledge. And if you take product owner and Scrum Master, obviously qualifications from Scrum.org or Scaled Agile related to scaling Scrum. I mean, practicing Agile in a large environment. Then Scaled Agile framework related certifications like Scaled Agile Scrum Master or Scaled Agile Product Owner will help. Or if you are looking at team level agility, then qualification from Scrum Alliance or Scrum.org will help. So it depends on the environment that you work in. What is the best approach for a BA who worked in waterfall and looking to grasp agile BA PM approach? How about ACP suitability for entry qualification? Okay, agile certified practitioner from PMI, Project Management Institute. So ACP actually covers agility from different perspectives, right? Mainly focuses on Scrum, but it also covers a little bit of Kanban, XP, extreme programming, pair programming aspects, and so on. So ACP is actually general in terms. It covers agility at a general level. But if you take PMI ACP, it's actually been overtaken by Scrum.org or Scrum Alliance or Scaled Agile. The recognition for ACP and the need for ACP actually is going down. So if you're looking at a person who, I mean, again, think about the objective that you have. That's what I'm saying. If your objective is to learn the best practices, IIBA will help. If your objective is to learn best practices in project management, PMI will help. If your objective is to learn certain techniques that we can apply for agile environments, Scrum, Kanban certifications will help. So it depends on the situation and the context that you are working in. What's your advice for a person who does not meet experience for the CBAP? First to do PMI PB and then wait for a while and do CBAP, merely from BA experience perspective. Okay. It depends again on what you are expecting to achieve, right? So like I said, I have told people, even if they have CBAP experience to do CBAP, if you're not confident in attempting the exam, do ECBA just to check whether you have the knowledge about the concepts, right? And then go for CBAP. Similarly, yes, you can do PMI PBA, get the knowledge about business analysis, and then applicability in terms of a project environment, get that experience, and then do CBAP. It again depends. It again depends on what you want to achieve. CBAP exams are tough. PMI PBA is also fairly tough. 200 questions in 4 hours, right? So you need to sit for 4 hours. You need to read everything during that entire time period. So both are tough. CBAP is a bit more tougher because lengthy questions are there. And then, I mean, most of them are from experience. You need to be able to read a really big paragraph, understand what they're talking about, and then relate it to theory as well. Think it from a theory perspective, not just from experience perspective, and then answer. Think about the objective that you want to achieve. So that's the answer that I can give. can an entrepreneur pursue in business analysis? Yes. So, if you take IIBA, business modeling canvas is covered as a technique. Strategy analysis talks a lot about SWOT analysis. Internal and external environment analysis using different techniques. And then creating a business model, and then doing the financial analysis. So a lot of things are covered related to entrepreneurship as well. So yes, an entrepreneur can do a business analysis credential. Explain the sequence of activities to do the exam: registration, EEP hours collection, exam application, and exam. Okay. In terms of doing the exam, for all of these exams, the starting point is actually getting the contact hours. Starting point is getting the contact hours. Or if you want to read the BA book or the PMI guide beforehand, before attending classroom sessions also, get the membership. Get the membership from PMI or from IIBA, download those books and read it. That's the starting point, right? And then going through the classroom sessions and getting the contact hours is important, because the hours are required for you to apply for the exam, right? Then the next thing is, before, what I tell my students who are going through my sessions now also, don't start your application process until you have read the BA book at least twice. Until you have gone through my materials at least twice, don't start your application process. Until you have done at least 2000 practice questions, don't start your application process. So for example, when I applied for my CBEP exam, I studied for six months just to be sure that I'm ready to take up the exam, right? So study, go through training, study. When you're ready, start your application process, and then schedule your exam and sit for the exam. There's an interest in CBDA. I heard that there are no printed online reading material which covers the syllabus. Do you currently have the competence to conduct training? So no, I don't do CBDA training at the moment, and it's correct. There are no materials. There's no guide. There's no guide that is defined for CBDA at the moment. No. So it involves a lot of preparation from my end also. I haven't done that. I have prepared for AAC, Agile Analysis Certification. I have the materials. I have prepared for it. CBDA, no, I haven't looked into that at the moment. My interest is also changing. So talking about my interest is general business analysis, agility, and then scaling agility. So business data analytics is something that I have not pursued. Yes, you need to, if you look at the recommendation for CBDA also, they are recommending 11 plus articles that are posted on, I think it's 11, I can't remember the exact number. A lot of articles that are listed in the IIBA website. They ask you to go through those articles, and they are saying, okay, the exam can be based on this, that's what they're saying. So it's like that. So at the moment, I'm not doing CBDA. Might not do as well. So that's something that I wanted to highlight. So those are the questions that are there on the chat. Is there any other question that you want me to focus on? So hope I was able to answer most of the questions that you all might have had. Hope I gave you all some clarity in terms of the thought process that you all needed to put in to see which certification is applicable for you all, or which certification you should actually pursue. Something that I wanted to highlight, it all depends on what you want to achieve, right? Don't just look blindly at what are the certification options that are available. See what you want to achieve. What are your objectives of doing this? What do you want to learn, right? If you want to learn the best practices, then you have IIBA. If you want to learn the best practices related to PMI, then you have PMI PBA. If you want Scrum Agile related BA, then you have some other credentials, right? Think about your objective, and then think about your experience and what you want to achieve. Then go for that. If you are interested, so at the moment I'm doing, there are parallel batches going on for IIBA and then PMI. I'm doing 3 parallel batches at the moment. Students following PMI PBA and students following IIBA certifications. I'm sure you all have seen some advertisements if you are following my pages, Aptra Holdings, on LinkedIn and Facebook. You all should have seen some advertisements that I have put. On the 20th of June, I'm starting a new batch. I'm starting a new batch for core certifications from IIBA on the 20th of June. And it will be fully online. Sessions will be on Saturday and Sunday. If you all haven't registered or are interested, just fill the online form that is there. Then one of my team members will get in touch with you. Are you doing training for AAC? Yes, I had planned a training. I had planned for a training before the virus situation hit. I could not go ahead with that. So there was a question on, are you doing training for AAC? Yes, I do. I couldn't go ahead with that because of the coronavirus situation. I had booked the location and everything. I had to cancel it. Let's see. At the moment, I'm focusing on the core certifications, but I have the materials ready and I can do. How long will the online trainings go for? Okay. The expectation for CBAP, as I said, it's only 35 hours. If you saw CCBA and ECBA, the expectation is just 21 hours. I do trainings for more than 50 hours. I offer 40 hours of professional development units, or the hours. I offer 40 hours for ECB and CCBA, and I offer 50 hours for CBAP, right? So I offer more than what is required. So even for PMI PBA, the sessions actually run for at least 50 hours, even online. I get people to do, practice in class. I get them to do activities in class. So there are a lot of activities that go on. And then I do record the sessions online, and I will be sharing the video recording also. So all those facilities are provided by Aptra. So that's a bit about upcoming training as well. And then please follow these social media channels. My website is coming up, aptraholdings.com. If you all found this interesting, please do share the recording. I'll make the recording available. Please do share it, and then get in touch with me if you all have any questions. So thank you very much then, and have a good day. Stay safe. Bye bye.